Hey everyone, it's Rachel.
And Linda.
And we are Truth,
Trust,
and Transformation.
We're trying.
Yeah. And so today we're going to get into a little bit different of a topic. We're going to talk bioidentical hormones. I'm 50.
I'm 57.
And so I have been on bioidentical hormones since I was, I want to say around 36. I never really had a lot of hormonal issues like growing up. My cycle was pretty regular. I can't say I did have a lot of pain as far as like cramping and that kind of stuff, but like I was always pretty regular. But after I had my last daughter, I just had a ton of issues with just like uncontrollable like bleeding, like
Oof.
just like bleeding so bad that I would stand up and it would be like terrible. And so at the time, I didn't know anything about natural medicine. I still worked in the traditional medicine world. And so I knew I didn't want to, something told me instinctively, like, don't do a hysterectomy because that's what they were recommending.
Ooh.
And I don't know why, but something just told me not to do that.
Mhm.
And so I asked, like, what are my other options? So they recommended doing an ablation, and that's essentially where they burn out the lining of your uterus. And they said sometimes like it doesn't work, but like if you do get your cycle back, then it's not as heavy. So I went that route, and I was probably slowly starting to go through perimenopause at that time due to the ablation. And not long after that, thankfully, I started working in holistic medicine, and the doctor I started working for like specialized in bioidentical hormones. And when I told him about the symptoms that I was having, I was just diagnosed with interstitial cystitis. And so I was having a lot of pain from that. And I looked up what's the treatment for that? And there really isn't any. And if you read the horror stories, like women just have like horrific pain all the time. It essentially feels like you have a bladder infection 24/7. And then your bladder just feels like it's on fire, and like food,
that's horrible.
Yeah, food can like trigger it. So anything acidic like chocolate, tomatoes, like there was just a long list, and the only option was taking amitriptyline, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Ooh.
So around that time I went on the bioidentical hormones, and so I do something called a troche or a troche, and it's a little waxy troche that you put in between your cheeks and your gums, and you do it every 12 hours.
Like gum that isn't chewy.
Yeah,
or would you say?
Or like the wax you put in your teeth when you have braces. It's kind of like
I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah,
luckily.
it's just like it's just
Okay.
really so, and then it dissolves,
Right.
and so then it goes into your bloodstream. And the reason why they recommend doing that is because then it's not processed through your liver. So what I was taught is that you never want to swallow hormones. Like you never want to take an oral progesterone or estrogen or anything, because you don't want that processing through your liver. And I think before that, at that time, they had like topical available. They had, you could do it vaginally available. They had the troche, the troche. And then I think like in standard medicine, they had like Premarin and Prempro and estradiol or something, and one was a patch and one you swallowed, and the Premarin was made from horse pee. And I was like, I'm not taking that. So thankfully I got on bioidentical hormones and noticed a difference immediately. Like my energy was better, my sleep was better, I wasn't having the hot like flashes anymore. And so I've been on the same dose for the past 16 years? Has it been 16 years? Oh my God, it's been a long time. So I've been on the same dose, and I've been really stable on that. Haven't had any issues. Everything's been normal. I like work out. I can still build muscle. I sleep really well, because I think that's the thing when women are going through perimenopause is sleep. Like, and then your sleep is disrupted, and then you're fatigued and tired, and you don't have that energy, and then you start having health issues, because our hormones are what feeds our body. Like it regulates our thyroid function, our heart function, our brain, like all those things, our skin, the elasticity. So people, when they start going through perimenopause, they just feel like they're losing themselves.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah. So recently, you're how old?
57.
Okay.
So my little journey with this, I used to be on the same troches that you were on.
Mm-hmm.
My perimenopause was a righteous hell. And at the same time, I had gotten this injury. No, never that. I got an injury walking in deep snow. This is what EDS is like. And I injured my lower abdominal somehow, but I didn't know that. And I thought, it got so bad, I went to emergency, blah, blah, blah. And this woman, finally, I went to the gastroenterologist, and I finally ended up with a gynecologist. She stuck her hand in me for like 2 seconds and said, there's nothing wrong with you. You must have injured, la, 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 go to see an osteopath. And I'm like, okay. So that, and she said in that perimenopause is just going to suck for about 10 years. And that's all she had to say to me. And I was like, wow, thanks. Here's your $200.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I saw the same doctor you were working for. That was like when when we met. And the progesterone, I was on progesterone pills, and I swear I could take them, and within 5 minutes I felt better.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. And then I got on the troches, and then somehow I just like, when I did menopause, everything got better. Like I had some warm flashes, my period stopped, and then everything settled. And it was like, thank God, because it was like, my perimenopause was like having PMS 29 days of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And my fibromyalgia was acted up by it, my ED, everything was just havoc. And it was all I could do to just not kill people or myself, because I just felt so horrible. And I was, teaching little kids at a Montessori school, and admittedly I lost my shit a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really bad happened, but I was just like, I don't have this patience.
Right, because
that
it
requires
that.
you being a little shit like you're doing over and over.
Mm-hmm.
So my energy, I don't know, I've never had energy. Like, I've never been an energetic person. I've been a driven person,
mm-hmm.
and I'll push myself. So what happened is I have a new doc who's into the GLP-1s, and he's into bioidentical hormones, and he does the, what do you call them? The pellets, where they insert them in your ass, basically. They make a little cut, and they put them in there, and over 3 or 4 months, they do their thing. Now, granted, he's got me on the oral progesterone.
Mm-hmm.
So I take that at night. And even the first night when I took that, I slept. Like I haven't slept. I can't remember when I last slept.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And I had dreams and everything. Then within like 24 hours of him putting that in me.
So what do you have inserted?
So I have, okay, thank you for asking that. Estrogen, testosterone, and maybe something else. And he's got me on a DIM supplement,
mm-hmm.
and then the oral progesterone at night. And I literally felt like I've been working out. Mm-hmm. I've been working out consistently for 6 years. Excuse me, I did a workout the day before I went to see him, and it was a good thing, because when you get this done, you can't work out for 3 or 4 days, and I'm on a pretty rigid schedule, and when I'm late, it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
My muscles, like all of a sudden I felt like, raw. Like my muscles tightened up as if they got more out of the workout, mm-hmm. even though the hormones were put in after. Everything just felt better. Like I was more patient and kind. My mood, they said I might have a better mood. Colors look brighter, like everything, I just have more energy. And that day that I had a really intense day, and I had energy all the way to the end. And usually by the end of my day, I'm like tired and inflamed. Mm-hmm. Granted, the next day I crashed because I had done like 2 days worth of whatever in one day. So it's not like I'm Superwoman, mm-hmm. but I just feel better. Mm-hmm. Everything about me feels better.
And
like I'm even able to relax more. And this is what it is Monday and it's Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even been a full week. And it's amazing. And I'm glad I did it. And yeah, it costs money, like everything else. And it's probably good that I'm started that when I'm taking a break from the peptides.
Right.
Because I'm a little bit like nervous. Yeah, so I can see what that does and it'll help. But I am kind of mind blown at the difference. And the thing is, you don't know how crappy you feel until you feel better.
Right. That's
and even mood wise, and I've been having the epiphany the last, I don't know, several months. And I've known this all along, but all of the spiritual practices that I do and the body practices and the supplementation and that I have been doing to overcome all of these things that feel like they're stacked against me.
Mm-hmm.
And now some of that stuff is getting resolved and it's like, wow, like I'm happy. Like I can't believe that I used to want to die.
Right. So that's the thing with the hormones, like your brain.
Oh my, yes. Yes.
So how do you feel in that aspect? Because people don't realize the reason why, like when your progesterone and your estrogens start to fall, women noticed increased anxiety, increased depression.
Yes.
Short-tempered.
Yes.
They literally feel like they're crazy. And so when they go to the doctor and they tell them and they're like, oh, that's just menopause, that's normal. And it's like you kind of get blown off, or they want to put you on an antidepressant. They don't want to look.
But it doesn't have to be normal.
Right.
That's what's amazing to me. And I don't think my hormones have ever been balanced, really. Like, I think I've always been hormonally challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to look into the fact that I'm taking oral progesterone, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
How different I feel.
And it's only been a week.
Not even a week.
Right.
And I also feel like the anxiety, how do I put this? And I get verklempt because it's like, I've suffered for so long. And now I can see, I love the back compassion. Then I'm like, girl, you were carrying a sack of fucking rocks uphill, and you did it. And you did it. And so now it's just better, and I just feel more open. And I know some of this is the meditation too, because it's like this combo. And, you know, my dog is, I don't know if he's dying or not. I mean, he's slowly dying. Kind of all are. But my ability to employ my spiritual prowess is heightened. And I can remember when I went into my doctor when I first got like the progesterone, this was a different doc than the one we were talking about. And I said, when I get this way, I can't feel God. And he was a meditator. He had this whole Ananda group, blah, blah, blah. And he understood. And I think that that's like a really real thing, because when your brain isn't working right, your spirit is quelled.
Right.
Because how do you tease that out? And I know the other thing that I was thinking the other night was, I always knew I had this like pilot light in me that would never go out. And it's like I could retreat in there. And everybody has it. I mean, people have talked about that kind of thing, of that place in you that is strong and resilient and connected and okay and all of that. I feel like that part of me is getting bigger and more integrated. I'm living from that place more than I'm living from the like primal, I'm afraid for my survival part of my system. And when I start feeling that happen, like a little trigger or whatever, I'm like, oh, no. We spent plenty of time there. Let's go back to this other thing that we've cultivated. And I don't really care how long it took. You know, just the fact that I can live my life one day at a time forward from here, coming at it from this place instead of
Right.
and then if that comes back, I know something's wrong and needs to be adjusted because that was my normal. I had no idea there was another way to live. Or I thought, I mean, other people, like, and I've looked at other people, like even TV shows, and like I love action shows because people are like in their bodies and they have energy, and I imagine, I'm like, what would that be like to feel like that? Like you can tell that they don't have any inflammation because they're not fidgeting when they sit, they're just completely relaxed. And I'm starting to have moments when I can feel that, even though I'm old.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because your skin, like, it's your skin, the elastin and collagen from the estrogen is really going to bounce back. Because now there's actually a lot of like skincare doctors or a lot of plastic surgeons that do holistic medicine that they've started recommending women actually take estrogen cream and put it on your face. Because it helps the elasticity, it helps the wrinkling, it helps the plumping. And so, you know, for a long time, I know in the standard medicine world, they would tell like women, oh, you can only be on this progesterone and estrogen for short periods of time because it's cancer causing. And they were basing that off like one study that someone did like 30 years ago and didn't actually like do any of the actual work to see if that was true. So women have been always very fearful of hormones because there's always been that thing in the back of your mind that, oh, this is going to create cancer. It's just like men with prostate cancer. They tell them that testosterone creates like prostate cancer, and that's really not true. We're exposed to so many endocrine disruptors in our food, in our environment, just in all of the things. And so it's usually those toxins that interfere with our hormone production. And then men are making less testosterone than they used to. If they look at the trajectory, because of all the phytoestrogens and the plastics and all this stuff, men are having excessive estrogen. So when you see a man with a big belly, they have too much estrogen in their body, and therefore their body's not making testosterone anymore, or the testosterone is being converted to dihydrotestosterone, and that's an issue in itself. So it's like usually those issues are what are creating the issue of prostate cancer, along with all of the toxins. So when doctors say, oh, you can't be on testosterone because it's going to feed the cancer, the prostate cancer, it's been debunked, but people still believe this. And it's based off a study that was done on 4 men 50 years ago.
It's
and then
just
they're
like
still just
fat is bad for you.
Yeah, just teaching this information that's not true because they're not actively researching and updating their information. So they're telling us things that aren't even true. So thankfully, there's a lot of doctors, especially on YouTube, that are coming out and speaking out, especially about estrogen and progesterone for women and how it's very cancer protective versus cancer causing. So even though, how many years ago, remember Suzanne Summers came out with a book like Screaming to Be Heard, or it was something like that, and she talked about bioidentical hormone like replacement and how it like changed her life, and she was a breast cancer survivor. And so it was known in the alternative world, but like standard medicine, I would still go and they would talk about like hormones. And thankfully I've always went to a gyno he's mainstream, but he does some alternative stuff. So he was always on board with doing bioidentical hormones. He wasn't like fearful of it, or he wasn't telling me, oh, like you're going to get cancer. So that was helpful, but also I've done my own research and I'm very confident like in what I'm doing and what I'm taking. And like I said, I've been on it for a long time, and like I'm fine. Like I haven't went through full-blown menopause. Like my skin looks really good. I have the energy to work out. Like I lift weights 5 to 6 days a week. And there was also the myth behind testosterone that women didn't need testosterone.
Ooh,
and we do. That's like what gives us energy and builds our muscles. Like
we need our muscles. And that's the other thing that why I'm doing this, not just to feel better, but the whole aging component of muscle mass and bone density.
Mhm.
You know, and you know, like I don't lift like you do because I can't. I
Right.
wish. But you know, I still need the whole muscle thing, like with whatever's going on with me, especially like before I did prolotherapy, I would try to do any kind of exercise and I would just get weaker.
Mhm.
And so slowly I've figured some things out. And I think this is going to be key in that, as is the BPC,
Right.
that I work out and I can actually get gains from it instead of just barely, you know, like I did some things physically yesterday, and granted I tweaked that deep snow injury just a little bit, but I took care of myself after that. But I lifted things that I normally would not lift by myself. I called off my neighbor. I'm like, nope, I got it. I did it myself, and that was really wonderful.
Right.
But I also know, you know, sometimes me, when I have too much energy and then I push beyond what my EDS can handle, but I'm just getting better at knowing where those lines are every day, so that it's like, okay, now I need to rest, or this is how I'm going to take care of myself to make sure that doesn't blow up in my face.
So have you noticed, so you said your sleep is better.
Yes.
What about like food noise? Like how are you feeling as far as like, because I know you
I have less food noise actually than I did from doing, you know, the apple cider vinegar and the other things that I've been doing about that, including staying the hell away from foods that are bad for me. And yes, and my appetite wasn't crazy either. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's not even been a week.
Right. And that's the big thing. Like, it's only been a week. So imagine.
Imagine, you know, 6 months of, you know, and how this works. The pellets, they do an incision in your bum, and they put the little pellets in and they dissolve over time. And they just put like a butterfly Band-Aid on it. It's not like a surgery where you have to have stitches or anything. And then he has me taking the oral progesterone. And, you know, I'm a super sensitive person. So they were like, oh, you might not even feel something in the first cycle. And I'm like, oh, I know I'm going to feel it. And I felt it within 24 hours. I could tell that things were different. And I still feel different. It's not like I don't get tired, but everything just feels elevated, boosted, better. And the cost, what did I say? Between the pellets and the DIM supplement, my progesterone is covered by insurance. It was like $415 or something, but it'll last for 4 months.
Right. So I feel like that's affordable. I probably pay around the same, except for, like I said, I do a Troche, and so I get 2 packs a month, which lasts for 2 months, and it's like $179, and I get free shipping. That's why I order 2 packs at a time. So it's similar in price, and I feel like the amount of issues that it can resolve by being on these things definitely outweighs the cost.
Well, that, and, you know, I take so many supplements for inflammation and for my brain, you know, and I'm hoping that I won't need that as much.
Need as many, exactly, because the progesterone and the estrogen are what, like, our brain is lacking.
Yeah,
and the reason why we have the anxiety and the depression and like inability to sleep and the tossing and turning and all of those things. Because I notice, because sometimes I get busy and I forget to take it. Like, that's the benefit of what you have, because it's consistently going in your bloodstream.
Yeah,
where like, I have to remember.
I take an evening supplement. He was like, no, you're going to have to put that progesterone, you know, where you're going to remember to take it. And I'm like, oh my God, the things I remember to take every day, I got this. So I just put it in my evening supplement thing with all my magnesium and 5-HTP and then that's it.
So I'm curious, like, how you're gonna feel like during the winter, and like having that extra like hormones, and how you're gonna feel like depression wise, because like the seasonal effect of.
We'll check in. And I had this feeling today too, because my dog, like Rufus, he's just like, he's not up here. He's usually at our feet. he's just slowing down a little quicker, and I'm speeding up. And I had a moment of what they call whatever survival guilt, or and I'm like, no. I'm like, you know what? It's really good that I'm feeling better so that I can tend to him and not get frustrated because I'm so exhausted that I don't have it. I still, on Friday nights, I'm like, as long as you ate and you took your meds, I'm done. And you're going to go lay down, and I'm going to forget that everything exists except my favorite Netflix show. And then I'll reboot in the morning. And because I'm taking those times, I also feel better. But it's good timing.
Right.
For me to be rising up while he's falling so that I can function better for him.
Yeah. And it's going to be hard. It's always hard. Like, that's your baby. Like,
yeah. It's my baby and my husband.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know this is off topic, but what the hell, Let's just ride that ADD wave. I'm trying to look at it like I have my bouts of grief, like, especially when each time there's like a new level of like sinking down, like, oh wow, like last week he fell off the porch greeting one of my students, and and he got back up, but he was in a lot of pain and whatever. That kind of rocks my world, and I don't know if it'll still rock my world as it happens, but I'm at a more acceptance level, and I'm starting to try to imagine what it's going to be like when he's not in a body and how I could still be with him and all of that kind of stuff, like sensing energy separate from his life force, separate from what's going on with his body, and just enjoying this leg of the journey, knowing that he's going to leave his body, but I don't have to be leveled out by it.
Right.
It's going to hurt, but the way I look at it determines whether or not it's going to devastate me.
Right.
It's just like, yes, I'm going to live through this, and I want to live through it well, and I want to use it for my own growth and blah blah blah. So
yeah,
but yay for bioidentical hormones.
Oh, absolutely.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I just wish that there were more doctors that like really understood bioidentical hormones and how they work and how women need them, because that's the thing too. So we're in Michigan, and I can say, like, when women ask me, like, okay, like, who can I go to? Like, I don't have anybody to recommend to them because there's just not enough people. I know there's a few med spas now that you can go get the implants and do that, and
yeah, and some of them are dodgy. Like there's a doctor in our town, and all the other doctors that I've been seeing, this person's name has come up, and we're all like, yeah, no, don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
And the guy that I'm seeing for the hormones, he's an MD. Like, he is a straight up guy, but he's open-minded. And, it took me a year to get him to understand, like, who I am and what I'm doing. Because he just did a thing he just went to Cancun for a conference, and they were talking about peptides. And so I was telling him my experience, and he's like, oh, you're unusual. I'm like, yeah. As far as like, I have more experience with some of this stuff than he does, because I've been doing it longer because of you. Right.
Yay. Yeah, I've always been like a guinea pig. Like, if I see something, there's just something in me that I research it and research it and research it.
I know.
And then I do it on myself, and then
I know. I've watched you do that for years, and I'm so grateful. And when I, because I tell him, like, where I get the stuff from, and I'm like, I have a trustworthy source. You have to trust that I have a trustworthy source. And yes, I know there's a lot of BS out there.
Right.
But, I pretty much trust you with my life, so.
Yeah, and that's the huge thing. We have to be our own health advocates. We just can't depend on a doctor because he's a doctor to know what's best for us, and to just listen to what they say blindly, because no, like, this is my body, this is my health. So people need to be more proactive about those things and try to educate themselves as much as possible, because otherwise, like, I can't tell you how many people that I see that I'm like, okay, what are you taking? And they're like, I don't know, whatever my doctor tells me. And I'm like, what? Like,
well,
what,
and the
what do
other
you
thing
mean?
about that too is like, are you in touch with your own body?
Mm-hmm.
Like this thing that you're living in, like it's a living, breathing thing. And if you don't get to know it, how are you going to know what works for you?
Right.
Like, and that's where, you know, like the breath work and the different things that really get you grounded in your body. Like, if you're not in your body, how are you going to know how your body feels?
Exactly.
And if you're not paying attention, how are you going to know what works for you?
Yeah, and I think too, like with standard medical, and I'm not like I'm not anti like medical system, but I am anti the way they do things. Like I don't like if you have a gut issue, they're sending you to a gut doctor, and then who doesn't know that your gut is connected to your brain and that you're all like everything works together synergistically. So when you're sending me to a cardiologist and you're sending me to an endocrinologist and you're sending me to all these separate people that only are looking at that body part and not looking at how it all like works together, it's a broken system. And that's why people like struggle and they're on all these medications and nobody's ever looking as to, okay, why do I have this? You know, it's not about I have this and give me a pill. Like, no, I have this. How do I fix it? And so I think that needs to be a transition. And I think it's starting to be. I think people are starting to like realize that, okay, I just don't want to be put on a medication. I want to fix what's wrong.
Well, it's a mindset thing too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a friend who she's like, yeah, well, I like drinking wine at night and it gives me migraines, so I just take a pill. And that's where she's at. And I'm just like, oh, well, you know, unfortunately, listening to that at least makes me feel a little bit better about how I tend myself. Mm-hmm. And food, that's a whole nother thing about food and how it affects us, and, you know, taking the time to kind of like clean everything out so that you have a clear picture and that you stop craving all of the things you're craving that are killing you.
Exactly.
Because that, unfortunately, is kind of how our biology works. And I remember when I first started looking at my food allergies, sensitivities, whatever, this woman that I knew in Al-Anon, she was like, well, you know, the stuff that makes you sick, you crave it. And I was like, what? And then, you know, in AA literature, there's the whole thing about the phenomenon of craving, you know, and it's like said that alcoholics have an allergy to the alcohol and that makes them crave it. I mean, it's very complicated. It's not like it's that simple, but that is an element of it. And sugar, you know, like everywhere I go, people are like, wow, I just know I'm hooked on sugar. And well, yeah, it's a drug.
Oh, absolutely. Your brain lights up in the same places on sugar as it does when you do cocaine. They've done multiple studies
they've
on
done
this.
A lot of studies.
So exactly. It's like how much sugar is actually in our food supply, and it's like astronomical. Like it's so much sugar. It's like you have to read labels of everything. Like you look at like some lunch meat or something and you're like, okay, why does this have sugar? Because then our body wants it more, and then we're going to keep buying it because now we're addicted to this. And the funny thing is when you detox from sugar and you cut all of the processed stuff out of your diet, and then it takes about, once you do that, it takes about, I don't know, 6 weeks or something for your taste buds to
reboot.
Yeah, so then you started noticing the sweetness and just like,
oh my God,
fruits and veggies, even like very simple things that typically aren't what you would call a sweet food. You'd call it a savory, but you can taste it. It's like it tastes so much better because your taste buds aren't adulterated with that constant sugar hit, and our brain's not like, give me more.
Part of what really motivates me to not eat stuff that I was eating was like, I do not want to ruin my taste buds, and I do not want to get hooked on that stuff again, because I just don't. I didn't realize how terrible I was feeling and what I was overcoming until it was taken away.
Exactly.
And I have been eating, like, in some ways I've been eating more carbs, but they've been like whole fruits and things like that. And I try to eat the fruit on an empty stomach because it helps, you know, digests better.
Right.
So it's interesting to keep, you know, weaving through principles of health that I've been learning since I was in college. And I don't know.
I think it's a huge thing too. Like we're all different, so what like affects you and creates a glucose spike may not affect me. And so lately I've been finding like I've been craving like squash, and it doesn't spike my blood sugar at all, like surprisingly, because I struggle with insulin resistance despite like all of the things that I do. The minute I increase and eat too many like not so healthy carbs, um, and mind you, I'm eating like 95% organic, and if I'm eating something like more sweet or carby, it's like homemade and like it's organic and it's as clean as possible. But like that, just doing that a little bit, like my blood sugars go crazy in the morning. So I'm like, okay, like I can't have that. But I've been noticing like the squash, you can make it sweet or you can make it savory. You roast it and I throw some cinnamon on it, and it's like the best thing in the world. And I put like butter on it, and it doesn't spike my blood sugar at all. So that's something I've really been enjoying. And then just making sure I'm eating enough protein.
Yeah, I need that. That I have to get back to eating more protein. And I think eating seasonally, like letting your body crave what's in season and really enjoying and rejoicing in that is also, it's helping me not grieve summer so much, because I can really get like over the sun fading and all of that. So just trying to embrace that.
Yeah, and we've been having an unseasonably hot fall. Like right now it's 83 degrees out. Like what the hell? We're in October.
And I'm still tan, and I'm still like sitting in the sun next to my wind chimes. Yes, it's really good. We like it.
So we've been enjoying that. So
okay, we're starting to prattle now. Yeah. So hopefully, also just saying, men get hormone replacement too.
Yeah, it's normal. Like they'll put men on testosterone like that.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I have a friend who's only in his 30s, and he struggles with that, and with a hair loss and whatever. He's still beefcake, but he works really hard for it. So.
Yeah. So I will try to link. There's a couple books that are really good to read. I'll link that in the description, and I'll try to like I'll link your doctor, and then the pharmacy that I use is called O'Brien. It's out of Kansas, and they specialize in bioidentical hormones. And the great thing about them is you can call them. Like all their pharmacists know about hormones, and so you can have a consultation with them. Obviously, they can't write and sign a prescription for you, but what they can do is they can look at your blood work, and then they can give their recommendations. They can send that to your doctor if you have a doctor that's willing to sign that script, and then they will monitor it for you. Like they'll tell you what labs to order, and then you can send them into them. They'll look at the labs and tell you what needs to be tweaked. You can call and set up a consultation. So if it's more extensive, then you have to pay a fee, but they are a wealth of knowledge and information, and they can really help you. The part is just finding a doctor that's willing to sign that prescription for you. And maybe it's easier in other states. I just know where we are, I can't recommend any great like doctors that do this. So I think that's something that we really have to find somebody that knows what they're doing and realize it's okay for us to take hormones, and we're not going to get cancer, we're not going to die, as long as we're doing all the things to like really make sure that we're staying in a healthy state and regulating our blood sugar and insulin and all those things. Like hormones are life-changing for women.
Yeah, and I forgot to say that my levels were tested beforehand, and they will be tested in 6 weeks. And so it's not like I'm just like getting shot in the ass with these pellets and then prattle on your way. It's monitored. Yes,
and what they're trying to do is rebalance your hormones to the point when you are at your healthiest, which is for women in between 20 and I think 30 is the optimal range. So of course when you get your hormones drawn and your postmenopausal or your perimenopausal, of course they're going to come back lower, and they're going to say that's normal because that's normal for your age.
Right.
But that's not what's optimum.
It's not that's optimum. What we're looking
exactly.
For.
And optimal levels.
This whole little thing, when we think about balancing hormones, I think we should do another episode or whatever you call these things, just about balance in general. Like, because balance is what we're looking for. You know, I'm not interested in euphoria necessarily, because guess what happens after that?
Yeah.
You know, and all of these different ways that we can find balance in our lives is going to give us a better ride.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks for joining
listening.
us. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Leave any questions in the comments, and if you know of any doctors like in the area, drop them down below and let us know. We got to share this information with each other.
Yeah.
We have to educate each other when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's super important.
It is.
Yes.
Because if we don't feel well, we don't act well, or it's harder. It's just harder. And if you're trying to be an agent of positivity in the world, the better you feel, the more effective you can be.
Mm-hmm. And just know you're not crazy. Like,
no.
Do not let a doctor tell you that you're crazy and it's normal and here's an antidepressant. That's not the answer.
No.
Yeah.
Love is the answer.
Yes.
And some other things too.
All right. Thanks for joining.